Alrighty. So this is going to sound a little bit weird, maybe a little irritated, because I just tried to actually record this before, and it turned out my recording software wasn't actually using the microphone I have plugged into my computer. So, without further ado, and without any more friggin' interruptions, hopefully I can get through this dang chapter. Alright, this is Mitchell Sanders, and this is a reading of Chapter 5 for the Golden Eagle Chronicles Book 1. Yeah, I plan on writing a lot of these stories. Lee felt whatever he was sliding down give out from underneath him. Shit! He roared out, coming to a sudden stop in a mass of furs. He opened one eye, quickly flashing to his feet before patting himself down. Well, I am breathing, he said. Came a laugh reverberating in the darkness. Lee shivered when a long gust of wind whistled by around him. Light flickered to his left, and in a snap, fire sprang up from a candle, lighting a near complete circle that ended near his right. In the candlelight, he noticed tribal masks decorating the walls. Some seeming like demons, while others were like animals. He approached one of the walls, and it was made of solid worn. It was made of wood, worn smooth, that made it seem like the room was English, Mitchell, speak English. All right. It made it seem like the room was carved from solid wood. So, are you going to say hello, or am I dead and I just don't know it yet? I would not be laughing if you had died. No, it's nothing life-threatening, she replied. A lone figure draped in a bear fur seemed to appear at the end of the room. He couldn't make out her face, but she pulled out a long, thin pipe. A small stream of smoke trailed from it while she puffed on it. So, you want off the island, huh? She asked. Easier said than done. I have one hope, but just getting close to it seems impossible, he admitted. Honesty is not always a good quality for a pirate, she said with a chuckle. I am not a pirate, he hissed. Taking a step forward, a massive fire sprung up in the center of the room. Good to know. So, do you know how big the castle is, or how to get in? I am curious as to how you will pull it off. I'm guessing knocking is out of the question, Lee asked, looking at the fire. There was no spark in it. His sword was safely in his hand because he knew he was dealing with some kind of spellweaver. Ah, a smart-ass. Cute. It's been a while since I met a seafaring man with a quick wit. Mind you, that is compared to the lot my services bring in, she said, shrugging. Ignoring that opening, why am I here? Ah, class. Now that is something I could get used to. Well, since I'm taking a bit of a liking to you, how about you take a seat and start with some names, she asked. Wood chair suddenly moved out from the shadows, forcing him to sit down. He flinched, glaring behind him only to see empty space. When he turned back around, he saw a pair of brown eyes staring at him from underneath the hood only a few feet away. By the void! He cried out, almost leaping out of his chair. Not much to look at, but in terms of circumstance, the best shot I've had in a long time, she said, pulling back. Her body was hunched over as she walked away. He pushed out of his seat, but it dug into the back of his knees, keeping him in place. Well, let's just say that my reasons are personal. But you want a way off this island, and that wish you are chasing will soon be available. But without a way in, it will do you little good. What do you want? Lisa asked with a sigh. The bearskin hood tilted. Don't play dumb. You've got information, but for whatever reason, you cannot use it. So you want something in exchange, he said, leaning back and resting his elbow on the back of the chair. Well, I suppose if you can kill off the captain of the ship coming here, and maybe getting rid of at least one of the shrines, I would call us even, she replied. The shrines. Those are the sacrificial places the captain has to use, right? Lee asked, waving his other hand. They are not for sacrifices, she roared, with a blast of wind knocking him off his chair. But yes, she continued, her voice as sweet as honey. Just one is all I ask, and I shall give you the key and place to get into the castle undetected. That seems very trusting, Lee commented. What's the catch? As you can see, I am not bound to this island, and my influence only reaches so far. However, I have just dragged you out of your body and into my little corner of creation. Do you want to know what I do to people who betray me? She asked. I am curious, Lee admitted, rubbing his chin. He could see a cold glare cross her face beneath the hood. However, he drew out, I don't much care for pirate lords or my former captain. In fact, it would give me great pleasure to split his corpse in half and feed it to the sharks. Excellent, she said, tossing something at him. Lee caught it. It was a necklace. The pendant was a metal circle engraved with a large dog horse and a snake between them. When used in even the smallest shadow of moonlight, this will open a door into the castle. From there, if you're careful, it will give you access to the fairy. She will regain her wish in 2 days. If you can get her before the gargoyle does, it is all yours. If not, enjoy your stay on the island. So, Lee said, flicking the necklace into the air, how is this coming with me? I'll have a friend deliver it. Now, off you go. With that, she disappeared along with everything else. Ah! He cried out as blinding pain shot into his legs. He opened his eyes to see Travis grabbing at the Camaro. Well, that was interesting. You seemed fine, but for whatever reason, you just wouldn't wake up, Larissa said, standing up. That's nice and all, but now that he is clearly alive, can I have a hand here? Travis asked. Lee began to shove at the creature as well. Fine. James, stay back. I don't need you straining your injury, Larissa cautioned as she put his sword away. As Larissa cautioned as he put his sword away. We made it take a rain check. I can't really stand up, James admitted before dropping to the ground. Damn it, she cried out. Lee managed to wiggle his way out from under the corpse. Travis went to his brother, picked him up with one strong heft. Sorry, but we have to get some place safe, Larissa said. Of course, Lee said with a strained smile. Look, I think I can find it. I appreciate the help, but I have a feeling that having a stranger like me in your group is just going to cause trouble. With that, Lee turned back onto his trail. Jill, moving along him in silence, he paused when Larissa called his name. Lee! We got a crashed boat on the northern shore, Larissa called. It's a go-to safe house if we ever get split up. If you're still alive, you can head there and wait for us, she informed. He nodded, turning back for his chosen path. After a few moments, he rested his hand on Jill, rubbing her head. I'm starting to think I took a bad hit to the head, he said, glancing at the dog. A swirl of fog played in front of him. He could see a large tower looming over the castle wall in the distance. The dog tilted her head, as if not understanding what he had said. Lee rolled his eyes. And I'm talking to a dog. Now I know I'm going crazy, he said, standing to his feet. Whoo! Came a cry as Lee felt the hair on his neck stand straight up. Who goes there? He shouted, pulling out his cutlass and shifting his gaze in hopes of finding the interloper. Who! He spun around to see a horned owl with big yellow eyes looking at him. Lee glanced up to see that despite the morbid setting he was in, the sun was still high in the sky. A low jingle caught his attention. Are you who? The owl asked, as Lee went silent, feeling his eyes wide as he glanced down at Jill. The dog looked back and just panted. Are you who? It asked again in a clearly male voice. Damn it, mortal, answer the question, it shouted. Who what? Lee asked, completely dumbstruck. It's how. Talk. Who the fuck are you? Man, I have better things doing than hunting down some new tool for my goddess, the owl griped. My name is Lee Robert Zane, Lee informed. The bird threw a talisman at him. It looked like the same one in his dream. I'll bet a bit duller. That's a bit of a tongue twister. About time, mortals, such an uneducated lot, the owl said before taking flight. I guess even the gods cannot get good help, Lee said, nodding his head. The dog just sat there. Come on, you need to get moving. The sooner we get in, the sooner we can get out. Jill lowered her head and trailed after him. The fog swirled around them thickly. He set His sight was all but killed, but even in the thickest spots, he could still make out the massive tower. Jill began to growl, and Lee could hear something whispering around him. Jill barked, and he went for his blade. With his hand resting on it, he could hear something whispering right next to his ear. "Ah!" came an unmistakable battle cry. A massive man ran out of the fog, charging at Lee. Jill leaped to the side while Lee reached for it. This is why I'm not a professional writer. I repeat myself, even the smallest bits, and I swear, I edited this multiple freaking times. Nothing ever comes out right. Anyway, he's even already freaking touching. Dear God. Alright, let's see here. But Lee reached for a sword, but a shield on the man's shoulder and chest crashed into him. The air rushed past his lips as he was tackled to the ground, his sword still hanging in his sash. The man stood back up, his full weight easily a half a foot taller. His hair was long and had a thick beard to match. His eyes were wild, and when he roared into the fog, it seemed to run away from him. "Burn, monster!" he roared. Lee got his blade out in time, but the man's fist met the flat of the blade, bending the steel as the blow was caught. Lee pushed back, but soon realized the wild man's arms were packed with a lot more muscle. Lee began to lower the cutlass, feeling the strength start to wane. Jill growled, leaped onto his back, and started biting down on the shield while shaking her head. The man looked back only for Lee to pull back on the blade and bash the side of his face with the hilt. The surprise knocked the wild man off him, and Lee rolled to the side. Lee pulled the blade all the way out and pushed himself to his feet. Jill scrambled back to her feet, growling at the man. I'm running out of descriptive words, apparently. He had a sleeveless tunic on with a tan shield over his shoulders. The front ended in a point with a skull engraved on it. He had leather gauntlets around his wrists and a pair of baggy dark tan pants that sat around a rather big belly. "A sword shall not stop me," he roared, charging again. It's always that same sentence. Anyway, Lee swiped at his face, but the man twisted, letting his shielded shoulder take the blow. He bashed into Lee again, slamming him into a tree. The man twisted his grip and tossed Lee over his head. Lee felt the world spin when he was slammed into the ground. He tumbled to a stop and he tried to find his lost sword. The wild man charged at him again. Lee got to his feet just in time to bring his fists up in a basic defense. The man's meaty fist smashed into his meager defense. His own arm slammed into his face while the man left a blinding blow to the gut, knocking the wind out of him. With one uppercut, Lee was slammed onto his back. "Jill," he moaned out, his mind reeling from the strength of the blows. He felt for anything. As he grabbed onto the sheath, he swung the blunt object at his attacker. His mind was still in a panic, trying to bide some time, but his wrist was caught. Lee watched as the man twisted his arm until he felt a cruel snap. Lee, his cry out in pain, was cut off with his head slamming into his before an arm was rammed into his neck, cutting off his air supply. Lee grabbed at the man's arm, his fingers digging into anything he could find, but his grip was weakening. The other arm slammed into his ribs, and he can feel bones straining under the blow. He reached out and grabbed at the man's neck, man's neck with his left, but his efforts seemed useless. "The nightmare is weakening. It's almost over," the man said in glee, as if Lee's death would end his own torment. The man's feet dug into the dirt, and Jill bit onto his leg. The man snarled at the dog, shifting his feet and alleviating the pressure on Lee. Seeing his only chance, he kneed the man in the groin. The man staggered back, Jill leaping and biting at his wrists. "I've seen scarier shit in my nightmares, bitch," he roared at the dog. Lee spotted his sword, Lee spotted his sword, holding his broken wrist close to his chest. He grabbed the blade with his left. "I would have imagined my nightmares would have been a little Less hairy, Lee said, pressing the tip of the blade to the man of the tip of the blade to the man's neck. Never guessed English was my first language. He rumbled. Suddenly, he started to laugh, a loud roar that echoed all around him. And Jill peered back, confused at the man. I suppose it would be safe to say that you are flesh and blood, he asked, looking at Lee. Well, since an unarmed man, no matter how big, is not what I'd call nightmare fuel, Lee replied. You got a name? Nope, he answered with a smirk. Nope. Well, that's a weird name, Lee admitted. The back of his neck twitched at the taste of the name. No, I don't have one. I've been here for so long, all I can remember is fighting, he admitted, as if it was a matter of pride. Okay, well, Chief, Lee said, the first thing that came to his mind when he thought of wild men. Care to call this a draw and let me pass? Do whatever you want, he said, laying back down on the ground. This is the most peace I have gotten in a long time. Are you a wizard or something? Hardly, Lee replied, pulling the blade back, but refraining from putting it away. Jill, he ordered, and the dog sat at his feet. So, now what? I'm going on a suicide mission in hopes of getting a trip off this island, Lee admitted. Sounds interesting. Mind if I join you, Chief asked, sitting up. We will probably die in the process, Lee warned. Sounds better than hanging out here, he countered, extending his hands around him. Fair point, Lee said, grabbing out of the sash. The man frowned and snatched it out of his hand. Lee gasped while Chief picked up a few branches and bound the broken wrist, using the wood as a stent. Lee's mind was still screaming, but he refused to let it show. Well, this is going to hold me back. It's only a fracture. Keep it stented and cool, and you should have it back in about 4 weeks. Nothing crippling, he explained. How do you know that, Lee asked, frowning. Not sure. Just seemed right. And I did the damage. Sorry about that. Let's get going. Try to bring you up to speed on what it is exactly we're doing. Sure thing, Chief. This is a little weird, but it's our best hope. Outside of trying to take over the ship that is anchored a good ways outside the island, Lee started. The two walked on towards the castle, Lee explaining the events leading up to Chief's attack. All the while, he was trying to keep his screaming to himself. Alright, well, that there is going to be Chapter 5. I have to admit, I really wish I could do better combat and fights and stuff like that in the actual stories. I definitely take a lot of inspiration from comic books, anime, and stuff like that, but I have absolutely no skill nor talent for, drawing, sadly. So, I apologize for any of the repeat words and stuff, and I hope to try and clean this up even more, despite the fact that both me and my wife are currently sick and tired of having to reread this damn thing over and over again. I was kind of hoping for this to be the last time I ever actually read this chapter, but knowing my luck, I'll probably be back here again sometime in the future. Anyway, hope to see you guys in the future, and I hope you enjoy this chapter and the many more to come. Have a good day.